information we can see, I don't see any reason why we should have an executive session tonight.
Very good. So that's next meeting. We could do that next meeting. Right?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Very good. Anybody else on council have anything else for staff?
I wanted to say really quickly, I was very impressed with Hazel Levine's presentations last week. I was able to sit in on the elected officials as well as the visioning session, the visioning workshop, and I have not seen that kind of excitement amongst the public regarding the future of Gardner in a long, long time. It was a very large breath of fresh air, and the amount of agreement that came out, the amount of accord that came out of those discussions was very encouraging. I think that people outside of these chambers and people out in the public definitely have a sense of what Gardner should be, and I'm very excited to see how those continuing discussions amongst the business community as well as residents continue to flesh out. But I am very excited. My messaging and my emails were burning up for a couple of days afterwards about positive things that Gardner was engendering in terms of feelings and a real sentiment of pulling together. I know there's several in the audience here that also attended those discussions and had those similar types of impressions. So I want to thank the work that HLA did on that, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what comes next.
Christy, you got anything?
I'm assuming we have the Catholic Church issue
Yes.
resolved, dealt with, everything's good.
I haven't heard anything about that.
Things are progressing normally.
All right.
I don't believe the permit's issued yet, but things are progressing as they should.
Okay, thank you.
Tori, anything?
No, I would echo what Steve said and Christie said.
Nothing. Larry, anything else?
Yeah, I'd like to go back to 2006 and the Intermodal Review Committee concerns, and one of them was Gardner Road interchange cannot handle additional truck traffic generated by the intermodal and logistics facilities. That was in 2006, and again, it still remains a valid concern. And I guess it's unfortunate that we're putting commerce ahead of safety.
Duly noted. I'm going to point out real quick a couple things. One of the things we entertained the Secretary and Undersecretary of Transportation recently and had a very nice tour of the city and a very nice meeting with them. The Gardner Road interchange, the 175th Street interchange, among other things, were discussed, and we're hoping to be able to partner with them. They've got some finance options that might be appealing to us somewhere down the road, among other things. Additionally, we joined KC ADC at the end of last year, and I attended a Smartport board meeting, and as a new investor, I was able to talk a little bit about Gardner and was approached by some people afterwards, and I realized that we can all be critical of one another on occasion, and that members of the public can be stern taskmasters, but the impression I got from the people at Smartport and from a KC ADC Economic Development Alliance luncheon that I attended last week, that the development community as a whole doesn't have the same kind of opinion of Gardner as we kind of do of ourselves. So I think that's a good thing. Not to discount the thoughts or feelings or inputs of our citizens, one iota, but I think that between the things that are going on with the comprehensive plan and growth in the area, that there's opportunity that still abounds. So,
I did have one last question really quickly, because I have been getting some emails about the whole flagpole situation for Perkins. That's something that's never come before the council, but it is something that's weighing on some members of the community. I just wanted to see what the situation was with that. I know the BZA had talked about it and had tabled it, asking for more information. And do we know what the situation is with that?
Yes. This was before the BZA, at the last BZA meeting.
Mm-hmm.
They tabled it because the FAA had not, Federal Aviation Administration had not ruled on it, made a determination as to its safety. One of the criteria that's in state statute and also in our zoning code is that it relates to the safety of the application.
Sure.
And so, at the recommendation of staff, the BZA held off on ruling on that criterion, which would have allowed them to prove it,
Mm-hmm.
waiting for the FAA's determination. To date, the FAA has not made a determination. It just so happens that the BZA meeting is scheduled for tomorrow night. It looks like that meeting will be canceled. So, we'll be discussing how best to move forward. I'm going to be asking the city attorney about how best to schedule, how soon we can schedule it, or allow the BZA to schedule another meeting, so it doesn't have to wait a month down the road.
Sure.
The flagpole is not holding up the opening of the business. They're on schedule, they're on track to open next week. We are in the process of making inspections and potentially issuing a temporary certificate of occupancy. It'd be temporary because they cannot plant the landscaping right now for obvious reasons, for all of the landscaping, and there are a few other things. But just to be clear, that the flagpole is not holding that up. Also, they are not being prevented from installing a flagpole. The ordinance allows them to install a flagpole that is 45 feet tall.
Sure.
And that was misinterpreted by somebody as being 25 feet tall as the limit, but it's actually 45 feet. They're asking for a variance for a 70-foot tall flagpole.
Sure.
They would like to have the flagpole in because they do have a ceremony. They invite the American Legion to participate in hoisting the flag for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
So they're interested in getting that resolved. But with the cancellation of the meeting, we'll be looking for ways to get another meeting called. The way that happens typically is the chairman calls a different meeting, and so we would arrange for the chairman to do that, facilitate that.
Great. Thanks for the update, Mike. I know it's never come before us, but I know that the public is curious about what that situation is.
Actually, and I know, listen, we're threatening to get out of here way too early, so I've got one other thing. I apologize. But recent appointments to the Planning Commission resulted in training for planning commissioners. I would imagine that's probably ongoing. I'm wondering, is there similar training that we can have for the BZA members? When they accepted their position as BZA members, they accepted that they might have to meet as much as once a month if there's business, but it seems like training as in regard to their role in the process would be helpful to them.
Yeah, and we actually, just to be clear, Mayor, they were invited to the training session we had at the Planning Commission, and some of the information that applies specifically to them was at that meeting. We had a subsequent meeting where because we actually had two meetings where we had training for the Planning Commission, covered kind of a broad range of planning issues, and the BZA was not at the second of those, but we held a separate meeting where we provided information or similar training to the BZA. BZA doesn't handle as wide a range of topics. They're really to rule on matters of procedure. They respond to appeal applications and variance applications, so it's a little bit narrow, but we did have that training for them. And as issues come up, we'd be happy to provide them any additional training that they would desire, or as you would direct.
Seems like it might be pertinent.
I
Just at least once or until another person is appointed, so.
Okay?
All right, well, that's all I've got. I'll shut up now. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
move to adjourn.
Second.
It was awful fast.